Height is the first factor that contributes to our physicality or how we're perceived by other people. And it is the foundation to painting a picture that will open the door to a greater understanding of how we both perceive each other, male and female, within our race, the black race, and how other people perceive blacks in the United States. Again, height is the first building block, so that's what we're going to talk about in this video. So first off, what is height? Height technically is the distance from the bottom of the feet to the top of the head while a person is standing erect. I pulled data on this from the National Health Statistic Reports, and I focused on the most recent year. There's a ton of data there over several years. Found it easier just to focus on 1 year because the trend is the same for the most part across every year. So I'll be focused on the data from 2015 to 2016 regarding height. And that data was broken down by Hispanic origin. In other words, there were 5 categories. There was non-Hispanic white, non-Hispanic black, non-Hispanic Asian, Hispanic, and Mexican American. So those were the 5 categories of data that were on the report. If you want to see the report for yourself, the link to the website, blackstatistics.info, will be in the description section, and there you will find the report given by the CDC. Okay, so back to height. I'm going to give you 3 numbers from each of those categories, those Hispanic origin categories that I just mentioned. I'll give you 3 numbers. Keep those numbers in mind. The first number will be the average height of males. The second number will be the average height of females. And the third number will be the difference between the two. So let's begin with the non-Hispanic white category. The average height, 2015-2016 data of the average white male, non-Hispanic white male in the United States was 69.8 inches. So that is 5'9.8 inches. Meanwhile, the average height for a non-Hispanic white woman was 5'4.3 inches, 64.3 inches, which is 5 feet 4.3 inches. So that means the difference between the average white male, non-Hispanic white male, and non-Hispanic white female in the United States is 5.5 inches. The difference in height, 5.5 inches. So next up we have the category for blacks in the United States, non-Hispanic blacks in the United States. The first number we'll talk about is the average height for men in this group, which is 69.1 inches or 5 feet 9.1 inches. Meanwhile, black women in this country, non-Hispanic black women, had an average height of 64 inches or 5 feet 4 inches. So this means the difference between the average black male height and the average black female height was 5.1 inches. 5.1 inch difference. The next category is non-Hispanic Asian. Non-Hispanic Asian. In the non-Hispanic Asian height category, the average height for non-Hispanic Asian men is 66.8 inches or 5 feet 6.8 inches. Meanwhile, the average height for non-Hispanic Asian women is 61.5 inches or 5 feet 1.5 inches. So overall, the difference between average height for non-Hispanic Asian men and non-Hispanic Asian women is 5.3 inches. 5.3 inches. Now these last 2 categories both involve the categories that would be considered Latino, but they're divided into Hispanic and Mexican American. The numbers are really close. In the Hispanic height category, the average height for Hispanic men is 66.7 inches or 5 foot 6.7 inches. Meanwhile, the average height for Hispanic women is 61.7 inches or 5 feet 1.7 inches. So in short, that makes the difference between Hispanic males and Hispanic female height exactly 5 inches. As for the last category, Mexican Americans, the average height for Mexican American men was 66.5 inches or 5 feet 6.5 inches. Meanwhile, the average height for Mexican American women was 61.5 inches, which means in the end, the difference between male and female average height for Mexican Americans is exactly the same as it is for Hispanics, which is 5 inches. So as a recap, the difference between average height amongst all these different Hispanic origin or racial groups are as follows. For non-Hispanic whites, the difference in average height between males and females was 5.5 inches. The next largest gap was between non-Hispanic Asians. The difference in height between male and female was 5.3 inches. Blacks came in right in the middle, or a third, with the average difference in height between males and females among the black population being 5.1 inches. And both the Hispanic and Mexican American groups had a slightly smaller gap of 5 inches even. So what are some basic observations here? One basic observation is that there's a larger gap or larger height difference between the average white male and white female than there is between the average black male and black female. This is the same among the Asian population. Now, at the beginning of the video, I mentioned that your physicality or size has a lot to do with how we are perceived. And I also stated that height was just one aspect of that. There's also weight, waist size, body mass index, all of which we have data for, and that data paints a very, very interesting picture. It does two things for us. One, it allows us to connect some dots and come up with logical conclusions as to why some perceptions are the way they are. And two, it dispels a lot of myths, because people are quick to say not all or most or some without really referring to what the data says, without really diving too deep into the world of facts. Everything is opinion based, and that's why we hear a lot of people say, I feel like. They say, I feel like this, I feel like that. But what we want to do is we want to uncover some facts, and then that way we can draw some logical conclusions and maybe gain a better understanding of why some things are the way they are. Again, a lot of it has to do with perception, but some of those perceptions are rooted in at least a little bit in some fact. Again, this is step one, and some of you may have already figured out where this is leading. Some of you may not have caught on quite yet, but I invite all of you to come along for this short journey, take in this content, and draw your own conclusions. I'll share mine with you, and I hope you'll share yours with me in the comments section below. In any case, until we meet again, take care of yourself, family. Peace.